everybody. I have my beautiful friend Ash Ruiz here today. Many of you know Ash Ruiz from his days at Menudo. And he is a boy band in the 80s, if you guys don't know that. But he's here talking to us today, and today he is actually a spiritual teacher here in Boulder. And so I thought I would start off by asking him the question I ask everybody: how do you know me? And then get to know Ash a little bit and what it's like to be a celebrity, because he's been famous for so many things, and he knows, he's known so many people and gone through so much stuff that he's got lots of knowledge for us. So how do you know me, or how did you come about?
Yay! Well, what's so wonderful is that, we have such great mutual friends. So it was so much fun to just hear Amy Satori, Amy Satori, Amy Satori. Then all of a sudden I'm at an event and there's Amy Satori, and I got to hug this Amy Satori and feel your presence and just feel where you come from and what's important to you. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I love this Amy Satori.
Tell me what it was? It was New Year's.
It was exactly on New Year's.
You came to New Year's to the dinner that I was at.
Oh, that's right.
You poured through the door with all these people.
That's so fun.
He brought the party.
So fun.
I was like, wow.
Yay, entourage time. It was like a drive-by hug.
I know, it was beautiful. And we took a big group photo. We took a picture the day we met.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
That is so fun.
I know. Find that picture.
Yes, I can see it, and I know it's somewhere on the social.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, tell us about what that was like. I mean, how old were you when you got into Menudo, and how'd that whole thing even happen?
Oh my goodness! Well, I was 14 years old when I got into Menudo. Before that, I was, going to New World School of the Arts, which is like an art school, and I was super excited about that. I kind of had this vision for my life. I was going to go to New World School of the Arts. I was super excited to get in, and I auditioned for vocal, dance, and musical theater. And I was super lucky to have the choice of which one I got in for all three. And I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. And I chose vocal. I really wanted to focus on the voice. At the time, I wasn't really
Thank you, God.
Yeah. I wasn't really into musical theater, even though I loved Grease too, and I loved I loved Disney movies. I just didn't see myself in musical theater. And then I was in the school for only 2 weeks. And then a scout came to the school and I think they started looking through, pictures and they just, the school suggested a couple of young Latin men, Latin guys, Latin boys, because Menudo is, a group that started in Puerto Rico in 1977. And it was like a conveyor belt of young Latin boys. So Ricky Martin was a part of it. Robbie Rosa was a part of it. A lot of, these wonderful Latin beloveds. And so as soon as you got too old, you would get out and a new one would come in.
Was Ricky Martin in the original Menudo then?
Not the original.
Part of that. Okay.
He was part of the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Because the original started in 1977, and I believe Ricky Martin got in the group like in 1984, maybe 1985. Okay.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so, at the same time of my life, my father was diagnosed with AIDS when I was 12 years old. And so we were kind of living, this really challenging time. He was an amazing man. I remember he gave us all a choice, to recognize that we could either focus on him getting sick and dying, which at this time in 1987, that's what getting diagnosed with AIDS was. It was pretty much a death sentence. And so we could either focus on that aspect of it, or we can focus on how present he is, how loving he is, how excited about life he is, how bright his spirit is. And that was huge for me. And I really received that gift of recognizing that I get to choose what I get to put my attention on. And so I saw how he lit up when he heard that his son, you know, my father being a Cuban man, when he heard that his son was, you know, considered as one of the members of this huge, famous, worldwide, you know, phenomena called Menudo. He was so excited and so delighted. And I used to cry myself to sleep sometimes thinking, oh, wow, I'm not going to have him here when I grow up. I'm not going to have him here to witness me living my dream, to witness me living what I love. And I'm not going to have him here for him to witness, you know, me expressing the fullness of my authenticity. And then I had this opportunity. So that was my main reason why I said yes to be a part of Menudo. I wasn't a big fan of, let's say, the music. I wasn't a big fan of of the outfits. But I feel really fortunate that I had a big heart at that age. And for me, this was a gift from my father, that he had a chance to see me living the dream before he passed away. And that was huge. Yeah, so I auditioned and I sang Imagine from John Lennon. That was my favorite song at the time. And then I danced to The Groove Is in the Heart.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then, you know, there was all this other process. I had to read in Spanish and English, and they did these interviews and they put all these clothes on us, and, you know, and then on my birthday, on my 14th birthday, I was told that I was a member of the group, and that I would be leaving in 3 days to spend 2 months in Caracas, Venezuela, to record our first album.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you sing a little sample of one of your most popular songs back then?
Yes. I would say one of the most popular songs, which was a big hit for Menudo, was a song called Me Sigue Pareciendo Frío, which means it still feels cold. And so it's kind of like this sweet, sappy love song, you know. But I'll sing a piece. It says, no es la lluvia que cae tan cristalina. It was like reggae. Como lo son tus ojos cuando me miras. Y me susurran secretos que trae la brisa. Eres mía. Pero tanta belleza no me es suficiente. Oh no, aunque estés conmigo, mi vida, siempre te siento ausente y me sigue pareciendo frío. Nuestro amor pareciendo frío. Tu corazón pareciendo frío, nuestro amor pareciendo frío, qué confusión. Bum, bum.
Did you do any songs in English, or were they all in Spanish?
We did a song in English. We did a couple songs in English. We did one called Cosmopolitan Girl, Girl. Your picture's on the cover of a magazine. At night with you I dream. We also did one called Dancing, Moving, Shaking, Everybody. And then I would say the most popular Menudo song in English was if you're not here by my side, can't hold back the tears I try to hide. Na, 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 na. I mean, yeah. But mostly Spanish and Portuguese.
That must really take you back.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. I kind of feel like I have you know, a unique privilege to really peer into my past life. It's like super present.
You still have quite the following. Do you want to share your little water story?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, recently, I mean, not, let's say about 2.5 years ago, um, I I was called because there was going to be a reunion tour for the group, and so I was called to be a part of this reunion tour, and we toured all throughout Mexico and South America and Central America, doing these 3-hour concerts. Because imagine, after all these years, there's quite a repertoire of music, and we sing everything, from all the various ages of the group, from the old stuff to the newer stuff and everything in between. And that was such an experience. I really got to experience when people say things like, "If I only knew then what I know now, how would it be?" And here I was in the middle of everything all over again, from, all of the traveling. And then, we still have the sweetest, most loyal fans, the Menudo fans. Hello, Menudo fans, are incredible. And, it's so sweet also because it's like they get to live their teenage years again. And then we get to live our teenage years again. And it's like, and we're all like in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it's like all of these age ranges. And they'll still show up to the airports, so let's say we fly into an airport, and they'll still show up with, just like they did back in the day, with teddy bears and with signs and with balloons and with big welcomes. And it's the sweetest thing. Yeah. Cool.
That's not the water story. Wait, we got
oh, that's right. That's right, the water story. So I was kind of painting the picture of what it looks like. So
okay. We got the picture.
One of our first shows was in Peru. And, it's really fun also because I got to experience, I haven't been a part of that world in so long. And, my life has consisted of so many other things. I've made so many different choices, and I've had so many different, shifts or whatnot. Just like my journey has been different. And so, for example, I don't live the rock star lifestyle anymore. I don't do, the drinking or the designer, supportive substances.
Did you say supportive substances?
I did. For some people, it feels like support. So,
okay. Painkillers and Vicodin.
All the ways we cope.
Oh gosh, that's so funny.
But I did go on a path of medicinal medicines. So, like ayahuasca and San Pedro and peyote.
Right.
And, that's been more like my vibe.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was just really, really funny to be in this world because these guys are still rock stars. They are totally rock stars, enjoying the lifestyle. And and so so we do this concert, and it's like really high elevation, and it's almost a 3-hour concert. And we had some water on stage, but then after the concert, we were doing like a 2.5-hour, 3-hour meet and greet with these beautiful beloveds that paid money to come and take pictures with us. And so when we get to the meet and greet, I noticed that I'm really thirsty and just feeling a little, and kind of a little lightheaded because of the altitude, and I was just like really loving some water. So I suggested, can someone bring some water, please? And they were like, yes. So they leave, and we're still taking picture after picture after picture after picture, saying hello, meeting these beloveds that had pictures of us and, albums of us from back in the day, and then pictures of us together when we were like teenagers, and then taking a picture now. I mean, really, really sweet. Aww. And then when they come, and I'm really thirsty. My body's like, I really would like some water. I drink a lot of water, and it's like I'd love some water, especially doing that. It's like running a marathon. Anyway, when they come back, they don't bring water. They bring like 2 cases of beer, and I'm just like, oh Lord, have mercy. I was like, wow, this is really a contrast, really different experience.
I was like, did you start drinking the beer? He was like,
exactly.
no.
I was like, hey, to the no, honey, baby, sweetie. No way. So then I was like, okay, well, I know that there's a hotel across the street, and this feels like a really good moment to just take care of my body. And it's like bodies are like a pet. It's like I love it to take care of it. And so I was like, anyone, there was a line of like, let's say 100 girls or something left. Anyone want to come with me to get some water? They're like, yeah, let's go on an adventure. So I leave, and then, one of the guys is serving as manager, and he's saying, go get, follow him. The security's following me. And then all these girls are following me. And we leave the venue, we walk across the street, we go to the hotel room, the hotel bar. And, I asked for some water. They give me a bottle of water. I start drinking the water, and all the girls are cheering. It was just like such a great moment. Such a fun moment.
He got his water.
I got my water. H2O. You can't mess with the H2O moment.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So then after that, they made sure to have adequate amounts of H2O available.
You showed them.
Okay, it's just like you need to be drinking some water. I mean, y'all drink what you want to drink. But this beloved right here likes to drink some water.
So what happened after Menudo? You went into that other band, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is that, Menudo, I was thrown into this incredible, this machine, this momentum of pop music. And so, while I was in the group, you're pretty much told what to wear, how to sing, what to say in interviews, what information you can share and whatnot. So for example, because of my situation with my father being sick, I was told I couldn't share what his disease was. If anything, I could say that he had cancer. I couldn't say he had AIDS.
Wow.
But I would. And I would,
That's awesome.
I was also told I couldn't, so for example, they were like, we were the squeaky clean image of like the perfect little Latin boys. And so sometimes they would ask us, what's the message that you give to the youth? And, we were told things like, stay in school, respect your parents. And, I was the one that was like, use a condom. AIDS doesn't discriminate. Oh my God.
Did you really?
I did. I really did. I remember I went to a Madonna concert when I was 12 years old. And one of her little things in the concert was, hey, you, don't be silly, put a rubber on your willy. And so that's what I would say. I'd be like, hey, you, don't be silly, put a rubber on your willy. And I'd just be like,
that's great.
I'd be like in Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Puerto Rico with use a condom.
That's awesome.
Wrap it up.
That's so great.
Yeah. So after Menudo,
so you can be a rebel in the industry and get away with it.
Hey, yes you can. Yes you can. And of course I would get the lectures, and I also in live performing, I grew up singing gospel. So from growing up singing gospel, singing was all about the moment and spontaneity and the soul. So I wasn't a fan of staying in the lines of how the song had to be. It was more like, how does the song want to express itself now? And I was told, you can't do that. This is not Boys to Men. This is Menudo. And, so I would take advantage when we do, a lot of times on TV shows, we didn't sing live. It was playback. And we just, sing. I could turn my microphone upside down and, but live performances, I was like, oh, they can't stop me now. No one can stop me. So I would sing the song how I felt it in that moment. It was like, those were like my soul's happy moments. It's like, oh, I get to really be myself in this moment, with this song and sing it how I really feel it. And even though I would get a lecture for about an hour after each concert, I can't believe you did that. You sound like you have a stomach ache. They're not used to the kind of melodramatic, R&B vocals and gospel vocals that I was used to, and that I grew up singing. So that was a lot of fun to
You're
be a part of that.
Such a troublemaker. They're like, oh no, here comes Ash.
Okay. Oh no.
What's he gonna do?
Glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you asked what did I do after Menudo? When I left the group, during my stay in Menudo, I had an experience in Machu Picchu a couple of weeks after my father passed away.
Bless you. I'm just kidding. Salud.
Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu.
The Spanish side, the Spanish side of my family couldn't say Ashley. They would say, I grew up hearing Asegli, Aeli, Achle. And then, my mom would teach my Cuban grandmother to say Ashley, but with a sneeze. So she's like, Ashley. Ashley.
That's good.
That's how she learned how to say my name. Ashley. Until the day the beloved passed away, when she would say my name, she'd be like, Ashley. Ashley. It was so much fun. Or she would just say Asegli. If she was, not in the mood to focus, she'd just be like, Asegli. Traeme un vasito de agua, por favor. Bring me some water. So, yeah.
Okay, Machu Picchu.
Just in check. My father, passed away. It was a huge moment in my experience. I was stewing with, and there were all these questions marinating in my being. What is real? What is life? What is death? What's important? What am I noticing about the adults around me, and how do I want to live my life? What kind of man do I want to be? What kind of human being do I want to be?
Wow.
So that was really present. And I think that, his passing gave me the gift of having those inquiries and those questions really present in my being. So, we went to film a video in Machu Picchu, and the song is called Bienvenidos al Nuevo Mundo, which means welcome to the new world, which is very sweet that was the name of the song that we went to film there.
Yeah.
I remember we flew in from Cusco in a helicopter through the mountains. It was glorious. And as soon as we landed on the site where we were going to record the video, and I stepped out of the helicopter, it's kind of like I had one of those moments, a spiritual experience. Everything that I knew fell away.
Wow.
Everything that I knew was in the back seat. It was kind of like what usually was in the back seat became the foreground. So for example, the fullness of my experience in that moment was I wasn't experiencing the moment. This is not the way I would describe it back then, but since this is what the words that I can use. I wasn't experiencing the moment through my story of who I was and what life is. Instead, there was just this pristine, vast expanse of loving beauty and intelligence and peace. And I saw that everything was comprised of this. And to the degree that everything wasn't a thing at all, that nothing had an independent nature, just a flash of a possibility at most. And so I could still see Lama and ruins and sky and mountains and camera crew and whatever else was present in my hands. But it was clear to me there was a shift from experiencing an outside world and me engaging in an outside world to noticing that this whole world is happening in my heart. This whole world is happening in the most precious light that there is. And what a relief that was. I felt like every part of my nervous system, every part of my being just kind of melted in this, all is well. And then the presence of my father in that moment, it was just like, he was always pointing to that in his own way. He was like this precious guru, always pointing to this stability. Before he passed away, when he was bedridden, he started experimenting a lot with out-of-body experiences.
Okay.
And having really powerful experiences, and he would, he would share details of concerts that I would be having in different parts of the world. When I'd come home, it's like he would be able to have an out-of-body experience with his astral body and attend the concert. And he would tell me, I'm always, my favorite seat in the house is to make myself really small and to sit in the light beam, so the high beam, the light, the what is that light called? Well, you know what light I'm talking
laser.
about.
Laser?
Not a laser. The one that follows the singer, the stage light.
A spotlight.
A spotlight, yes. So he'd sit in the spotlight, and that was his favorite seat where he got to watch the whole show.
Wow.
And I was amazed at the details. And then he started teaching me how to have out-of-body experiences.
Wow.
And I was so scared. I would have moments where it was kind of like, I'd feel the buzz. I'd feel like this. And the way I would see it is that as if my astral body was kind of like this like subtle Velcro detaching itself from my physical body. And then, I get super excited. I just, instead of taking things slow, I just shoot up into the cosmos and then get super scared and end up coming back to my body. Like, I couldn't like take it, I had to do, really work my way into consciously, slowly moving through and looking around and deciding what exit I wanted to exit out of. And, but I would tell him, I'm scared that I'm going to lose my body, and I'm going to lose, home, and that, that I'm going to get lost forever. And then he would say, Ash, you can have an out of body experience, but you can't have an out of you experience. You can't have an out of home experience.
Wow.
That's always with you. He was like, notice when you leave, the you-ness is always with you, always here. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got it, but didn't really know. But in that moment in Machu Picchu, it was so clear to me. I was like, this is that you-ness that he's talking about. This is that space. Always stable and always here. It was like, oh wow, this has always been here. When I was 7, when I was 6, when this happened, when that happened, and it was just a really profound moment. And then I still had a contract in the group that I had to fulfill, because at that point I kind of wanted to leave the group. It's kind of like, oh wow, I'm kind of done with this. And but I had this, I was given certain options. If I would leave the group, this would happen, that would happen. So it felt really wise of me to stay in the group. But once I left the group, once my contract was complete and I decided not to sign another one, I needed to explore this that I had experienced, this presence, this vastness, this spirituality, this light. And so I didn't continue in the music business right away, which was the thing to do after you left the group, was it gets signed. And I was getting, really great invitations to be a part of certain record companies, or because I was the first Menudo to ever write a song in the group and to have it, be a hit. I was getting offers from publishing companies to be a songwriter, and I decided to take a break from all of that. Kind of reminds me of, Jim Carrey once said, I wish everyone can experience what it's like to be rich and famous, so they can know how nothing it is. So they can just get over that hump and maybe search for something deeper.
Yes.
Search for something truer, And that was my experience. It was like, being around people that had all the fame and all the money in the world, and yet they were still treating waiters like shit, or they were still, showing up as assholes and frustrated. And some, of course, some were really loving and present. This isn't everyone. It's not but there were a lot of beloved. So it was clear to me that that's not it. That's not where happiness is.
This is not the ultimate. This is far from the ultimate. This is like wallowing in the mud with pigs.
Yeah.
A lot of money mixed in.
Yes.
And drugs.
Yes. So I feel so fortunate that life happened in such a way for me to see that at such a young age. And so when I left the group, I decided to explore that. And then I moved to Peru. And I lived in Peru for almost 2 years. And on that journey in Peru, I went back to Machu Picchu. You know, a lot of times in the spiritual path, we'll have a profound opening and then it kind of fades. And then all we want to do is recreate that same thing. And so I was in that space of wanting to recreate my Machu Picchu moment. And it wasn't happening. And I got really frustrated. And then I fell to my knees and I was like, nothing's happening. And then that nothing's happening hit me like a gong. And it was just like, nothing's happening. Oh yeah, that's what was so beautiful about it. I was like, oh yes, nothing's happening.
And that nothing is the most incredible thing ever.
Incredible. Oh my goodness. And so then I found myself in the rainforest, in the Amazon rainforest. And I met these tourists from these, not, they weren't tourists, they were anthropologists from Amsterdam. And they invited me to partake in an ayahuasca ceremony with a group of beloveds from the Shuar tribe on the Peruvian side. And that was amazing. You know, I went, I remember walking there. There was a lot of fear. I was like, oh my God, I don't have any baby wipes. I don't have any like mosquito repellents. I don't, you know, that's just these thoughts. I was hearing like my grandmother, my Cuban grandmother, what are you doing, niño? ¿Qué tú estás haciendo?
You're crazy.
Alone. You don't know these people.
Loco.
They could shrink your head and we'll never see you again. And whatever. But I was looking at my feet as I was walking. It was a trek, you know, it was like almost a 2-day experience from, you know, all the different rivers and that we had to take, and then we had to walk. And I just remembered staring at my feet and I was like, I can trust that. One foot in front of the other. This is what I'm trusting. And yeah, it was so profound, so powerful. At that point, I had the story of someone having an experience. So I was still identified as an ash, having a profound experience in Machu Picchu and wanting to get back to the bliss of that and to the pristine vastness of that. And how do I get back to that? And ayahuasca might be the thing to do it. And it was, but not in the way that people think. So while I was in my amazing trip, and, you know, I remember I was hugging trees and feeling my feet dig into the roots and intertwine with the roots of the forest. And I had really long hair at the time, and it just flew up into the canopy, and I was just one with, and I was like, oh yes, trees are Buddhas. You know, it's like be in the world, but not of it. I was like, yes, rooted on this experience of this planet, it opened to infinity. I was like, and then I stopped hugging the tree and I looked at my hands, and my hands started to age and decay, and the flesh would fall off and the bones would turn to dust, and then they would return like another color, different hands, different shade, different size. And then it started happening over and over again really quickly. And it was like the sun and the moon was just, you know, going like time, and the forest would like dissolve and then like regrow and then dissolve. And I was just like, and then I had the thought, this is amazing. How do I recreate this? And while I was having that thought, some other part of my being was like, hold up. Okay, this is cool and all, but what about this moment is the same when you're tying your shoe, when you're seasoning your Brussels sprouts, when you're having an orgasm, when you're, you know, what about this is the same? And in that moment, there was an anchoring of just like, oh my gosh, I am not the descriptions that appear in my being. You know, I am this open stability, this open aware presence. So that was huge. And then music started pouring through. I was writing songs like, we are nothing pretending to be something. We are nothing pretending to be something. And writing songs like, so many souls have come to this planet and blessed it by being themselves. Yet the masses await the Messiah, the prophet. Salvation's on somebody else. Receive this gift by this song that came through. You are the one the world needs. You are the Gandhi, the Christ, the Lenin. You are the Martin Luther King. I have a dream. Jesus, Buddha, Kali, Krishna, Isis, Mandela, Sophia, Muhammad, Yahweh, Sai Baba, la Virgen Maria. Wakantanka Ramana, silence, freedom, detachment, devotion, wisdom, compassion, sacred abundance, wisdom, compassion. The truth remains, all is love. All is love. I am holy. Only good comes to me. Only good comes from me. I give thanks. I give thanks. I give thanks. I am holy. And when I came back to the States, life happened in such a way that I met these incredible fellas. And we all had a book in common, which was The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And when I shared my vision of creating music that spoke to the depth of who we are as a people, so writing love songs from that space, writing, just having all the music. I wasn't aware of kirtan. I didn't know of spiritual new age. I didn't know even who Yanni was at this time. I just knew that music was a part of my expression and a part of my joy, and lyric and attempting to, speak to the already wholeness of our being that we are. So we started creating these songs, and it was really powerful. We spent 14 years singing, doing these satsang healing concerts, and we performed with a lot of our favorite spiritual teachers of the time, Gangaji, Adyashanti, Deepak Chopra. We performed with the Dalai Lama, the Tibetan State Oracle, so Neil Donald Walsh, Marianne Williamson, Shakti Gawain. I mean, it was just, we would go from retreat to retreat, serving as the soundtrack of what people were experiencing and what these beloved luminaries were sharing in their message. We got to do it with music, and it was really, really powerful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So then, was it Boulder after that?
Well, then, that group, some of the guys in the group wanted to change the green screen, and it was like, okay, it's time. So we took a sabbatical, not knowing if it was a sabbatical, but we took time off, and I was excited to, I was living in between South Florida and Los Angeles at the time, and I'd come to Boulder to a Bjork concert, fell in love with it. And so I had the thought of, like, I want a mountain town. So either Asheville, North Carolina, Ojai, California.
Oh, I love Ojai.
Me too. I love Ojai.
So beautiful.
It is. Or Boulder. And I was kind of feeling into those spaces, and life just moved in such a way for Boulder to appear and for me to come to Boulder. And I fell in love with this space and all the beloveds here. It was like the perfect intersection of technology and spirituality, and then nature, and then like progressive possibility for our species.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that it was close to Denver, which has a little bit more culture and grit to it. But I'm all about like the hiking and the mountains and yeah, really, really sweet.
Yeah. We're glad you're here.
Yay! So glad to be here. So glad to be here. Yay! Yeah.
So the other night when we hung out, I asked you if you would sing a song.
You did. What did I say?
Song. You said you would do it.
Oh my goodness!
Absolutely. And then you have this really awesome poem as well. So
okay, would you like me to just do them both in a sequence?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do them together. This song was inspired by, I have the honor of having sessions with beloveds and being a support and guidance as they get more familiar with themselves as love and peace and possibility, and people really frustrated with the state of the world and what's happening and with the world leaders and with the planet and so this song came through as support to that. It's called Perfect Love. And it says, oh, morning voice, yeah. I love it. I love a challenge. Sometimes It feels like it take 1,000 years for the human race to heal all this pain that causes us to be such fuckers. Yes, it feels like it take 1,000,000 more till we're willing to explore inner space and realize that our true name is perfect love. Perfect love. I know that's how it feels, but all could shift in a blink. Perfect love, perfect love, for only love is real, and all could shift in a. Sometimes the eyes see the opposite of peace, and love's a beggar on its knees, longing for the day its value is acknowledged. And those walls we built just keep getting taller. Here's God's number, someone call her and recommend that she consider another plan. But only this time of perfect love. Yes, perfect love. The ocean's always here, and we're fish saying, where's it at? Perfect love, perfect love. The ocean's always here, and we're always on the back. Perfect love does not mean know what the past thinks and doing nothing or not engaging and not suggesting that there are other ways. No, this love just allows us to breathe deeper and think clearer and be kind. Humankind, not human creepers. Sometimes it feels like it take 1,000 years for the human race to heal all this pain that causes us to be such fuckers. Yes, it feels like it take 1,000,000 more till we're willing to explore inner space and finally realize that our true name is perfect love. But all that can shift in a blink. Sacred geometry, watch it fly out of me. Sonic astronomy, this new vocal alchemy, toning my way into Ganesha's balcony. The view from in here is a Celestine prophecy. Angels with microphones, goddesses sing. Lakshmi's ascending on butterfly wings. Cosmic disclosures about identity. The only life here is the one listening. The only life here is the one listening. The only life here is the one. Listen so sweetly that you disappear. Listen so clearly until you're not here. Not here as a thought, not here as a body, not here as the one trying to get to the party, because right where you are without changing a thing is the one celebration, the only big bang. You've never not been the pure presence of love. Cannot experience there's not enough. For atoms keep flying right out of God's pocket. It's your face under the ID that God has in her wallet. No need to say it, but I'm going to call it. You've always been you and you've always been balling. Your name is Abundance Jackson. Your name is Prosperity Jenkins. Your name is Infinity Smith, exalting the reality of indescribable bliss. Your name is God Loves Me Gonzalez. Your name is God Is Me Ruiz. Your name is the sacred, immeasurable beauty that brings everything here to its knees. Confusion. Confusion is not just for the wealthy. Confusion is not just for the poor. Confusion is but the unquestioned assumption that this moment should be something more. More this, more that, more Cadillacs, pure imagination. But maybe not tending to here and now contributes to global devastation. Maybe not taking the time to invest in the silence found in meditation gives rise to the hurt and the pain we inflict on ourselves. Misidentification. skin lines, timelines, them there lines drawn on a map. The only word I can find for rhyme with the assumptions of lines is crap. The you, me that gives rise to destinies has only ever existed as flashing possibilities, a thought in the mind of God, a God in the mind of thought. It's a good thing. This here, golden perfection, has never ever once been caught up in mental elaboration. Thank heavens for evaporation, for the ingredients of separation can't survive the light of this here confirmation. Your name is Abundance Jackson. Your name is Prosperity Jenkins. Your name is Infinity Smith, exalting the reality of indescribable bliss. Your name is God Loves Me Gonzalez. Your name is God Is Me Ruiz. Your name is the sacred, immeasurable beauty that brings everything here to its knees. Your name is the sacred, immeasurable beauty that brings everything here to its knees.
Chills.
Yay.
That was so fun the other night. We were driving along. We were rapping. We were
that's
trying to
right. That's right. We were. What was the rap that you remember all the time?
No.
A little piece, a little piece. You're like, no. What was your water story? You are so cute. You are so cute. I can't stand it. And then we started rapping. I want to rock right now. I'm Ron Bass and I came to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was LL Cool J's I'm Bad.
Mm-hmm.
No rapper can rap it quite like I can. Take a muscle band man and put his face in the sand. So forget Oreos, eat Cool J cookies. I'm bad.
Yes, LL Cool J is licking his lips right now.
That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. I know the whole thing though.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Oh my gosh. So how does somebody get a hold of you, or how to come to one of your satsangs here?
Oh, how sweet. Well,
give us your information.
Oh my God, how much fun. You can find me on Facebook at Ash Ruiz. You can also find me on my website, www.ashruiz.com. On my website, you can find information about all my music. There's various interviews. I'll put this interview up on my website too. There's also, I give private sessions. It's a joy to serve and to share, valuable perspective that radically transforms people's lives. And I've been doing that for about 20 years now, so that's so much fun. You can find information about that there. Instagram, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Illusion Slicer on Instagram, slicing and dicing all them illusions. Illusions are super easy to slice because there ain't nothing there. So it's so fun.
Let's put a shout out to Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Sylvia Leyva. Oh my God, Sylvia is such a sweetheart. I've known her since I was like 14 years old. Oh, so much fun.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool that we have this connection. And you as as our connection. So sweet. What else? It's fun. Monday night, Monday, November 11th, so 11/11. I'll be sharing.
I just did a message on.
Oh, cool!
You can watch that later.
I want to see that
on that portal. Okay, go ahead though.
Oh, perfect. So on 11/11, I'm doing a satsang. It's a Monday night, in Boulder. It's a private residence in between 5th and 6th on Maxwell Avenue. And but you can find information on my Facebook page about that, or you can get in touch with me. My email address is innerash@hotmail.com. Maybe you can post a little link to the event or something. That can be awesome.
I'll put everything underneath.
Okay, yeah, I love little linky dinkies.
Linky dinkies.
Portals, right?
They are.
I know, so cool.
Gosh, thank you so much for coming on. Are there any words of wisdom that you want to impart on anyone? I mean, you've said so many incredible things.
Yay.
anything you want to give to anybody who's about to become wildly famous overnight?
Oh, I love that. Wildly famous overnight. So just
I've been sensing it for a lot of people who watch this channel.
I love that. I love that. So just like, what my father shared with me about you can have an out of body experience, you can have an out of your income experience, and out of your home experience, and out of your small town experience, and out of your country experience, and out of the usual hotels that you stay at experience, and out of stage experience. You can have all these experiences in life that are wondrous and wonderful, but your core, your center, the truth of you, your essence, your being is always here, always stable, and blessedly always reliable. All those other things come and go. It's a dance of light and shadow, wonderful, fun, powerful to share, to express. When you are clear about your center, you can make an honest yes and an honest no. And in this business, the business of Hollywood, that's really powerful to be in touch with. Yeah.
Yay. So also for those that are curious as to what you're talking about with the whole enlightenment thing and stuff like that, I've done a couple of talks I'll put links to down below as well.
Oh, cool.
Could explore that a little further, even me sharing my own enlightenment experience.
Nice. Nice. Oh, I love that. It's so much fun.
I just love you so much. You're just
I love you so much. And
so happy you're in my life.
Oh, I know. It's such a blessing. Yeah, so receive that. Yay.
All right.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye, beloveds.
Maybe we'll see you one of these Mondays or something, or one of his.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
Good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Ciao. Chime bells are ringing, yodelady. Mockingbirds are singing, yodelady. Hush, little lover, yodelady. Up on a summer's eve. It was so fun, so fun. And I love your yellow.
Oh, thank you. See, look at the sleeves are kind of like Spanish style. Like,
I see that. Yes.
I didn't get to show them, but they're kind of like.
Yes, they're super.
It's getting me in the Latin.
Exactly. The Latino mode. Enjoy a beautiful day. All right.
You too. Bye.
Bye.